All right, we are live. Awesome, awesome, awesome. So, welcome to the Visionary Success Podcast. Today, I have with me Morgan, who is a 27-year-old entrepreneur from the Gold Coast, Australia. After being an apprentice carpenter for 2 years, he realized that unless you could have money work for you, then you'd never truly be free. Was introduced to network marketing at the age of 21 when he was living paycheck to paycheck and used it to create financial freedom at the age of 23. Now he's gone on to create a six-figure residual income, travels around the world speaking on stages, inspiring, teaching, and motivating other young people to own their lives physically and financially. He's the host of the Dreaming Out Loud podcast, which is ranked continually in the top 100 of the entrepreneur self-development podcasts on iTunes in all of Australia, and has huge passion for helping other young people pursue their dreams. Welcome to the podcast, Morgan. How are you?
What's up, Jess? I'm excited to be here. Good to jump back in here with you and get on here. So I'm excited.
What a bio.
I I wake up this morning and you go, shit, I don't have a bio for you. And I'm like, well, people always ask me for bios, and you'd think by now I'd have one, but I don't. So I just quickly put that together. I'm like, this will do.
No, it was good. It's good. So tell me a little bit about yourself, because your bio is very, very interesting. Financial freedom at the age of 23, the dream life. Mm-hmm. So tell us a bit about that.
So I'm not sure how deep you want to go with it, but
deep.
balls deep. Let's go. I'm 27 years old now. When I finished school, and I was never really good at school at all because I was never really passionate about it. And, I kind of found that if you're in life, if you're trying to be forced to be passionate about something, like you only gonna get shit from it. So, and that's what was like at school. I was there, and they try push you to be passionate about school, and I just wasn't. I wasn't good at it. I was like a straight C student. Sometimes I'd get D's and stuff, right? And so when we finished school, I knew for a fact I was never going to go to university. I was never going to do anything like that. And it was also reinforced by the belief knowing that I could never amount to much, because that's what I was told in school. I got a really crappy score when I finished school. I was never getting high grades at all. And I was told that, you never get to be able to really do much. So go and get a job that you can work with your hands, and maybe a trade or something like that, right? And so I thought that's just, we're all drawn these straws, and some are smart. And if you're smart, you're destined for success. And if you're like me, then you gotta work until the day you die. And I always just had this, I had this thing inside of me where I just believed, I wanted to be free, live your best life. That's what I always just believed. And I always live in the moment. I enjoy everything I always do. And if something was to jeopardize that, I change it, right? So, because I'm a big believer that, when you're 10 years old, you never dream about going to a job site you don't like, driving a piece of shit car, to go and hang around people that you don't like, to have someone else tell you how much your life is worth by the hour, when you can eat, when you can pee, when you can go home, what you can do, when you can see your family, when you can go on a holiday. You never dream about that when you're 10 years old, do you?
No.
You dream about having this life of travel and freedom and riches and boats and all this stuff, right? You dream about that, and then somewhere along the road, life conditions you to believe that, maybe you should just go get that job, go and get in some debt, go and get a corporate job. You work your way out the corporate ladder, then you work until the day you die. That becomes normal, and they just never sat with me. I was like, this is just so crazy. And I found myself, I had to face reality eventually. After having just random jobs and doing a lot of traveling and stuff, I came back to Australia, and I got myself an apprenticeship as a carpenter. And on my first day of the work site, it was 8.5 hours into the day, and the boss says to me, "Oh, you can go home early today because it's your first day." And I'm like, 8.5 hours is early. What the hell? I'm like, what's a normal day? And he's like, 10 hours. I'm like, and you do this what? And he's like, yes, 6 days a week. I go, for how long? What, until you're dead? That's life. And so since that moment, I was always looking for different ways to kind of get out. I understood that you need to find a way to make money while you sleep. Otherwise, you will work until the day you die. You need to have some kind of system, so passive income, residual income, leverage income, something like that, where you're not trading time for money. And I man, I could talk for so long about my story, but anyway, but to save it all, when after fully going down this whole route of thinking this was the way it had to be and being in this crappy environment, I was in this really negative environment where I was getting locked up nearly every single weekend. I was on a whole bunch of different drugs, partying all the time. Then I went away for work and I fell into this absolute just slump of just depression where, I tried to take my own life at 19 years old.
Wow.
And, that was the moment when that happened to me. I was like, man, how did I go from being this, happy, full of life 18-year-old to this at 19 years old? And I'm like, something's, and the one thing that changed for me was my environment. So I always talk about these 4 pillars of success. And the first one being, your environment. If you're not in the right environment, then, you'll become the 6th person of the 5 you hang around. And the people I was around that time, I was well and truly become the 6th. I was going nowhere with my life. So I realized I had to switch this shit up. I got out of that environment. I started hanging around people that I wanted to become like. I started getting around more people that were going places with their life and asking more questions and being more curious about people that had success and what do they do differently to the people who don't have success. And then just being curious and on this pursuit of like open-mindedness to find things. Network marketing fell in my lap. I had no idea what it was. I actually thought it was like, I called it like a cult, I called it a pyramid, I called it all this shit, right? I was like, oh, that's one of those things. And I'm like, well, what's that thing? And I think about, I'm like, well, where'd that perception come from? Oh, it came from this person I knew a while ago that was broke, that he labeled network marketing as one of those pyramid things years ago, right?
Yeah.
So I just remember that I had big opinions and a very little bank account. Which most people, right?
I can probably resonate with that.
Yeah, and I can say it's because this was me. Like most people who have little bank accounts usually have very big opinions and are very, very set in their ways. And because that was me, I tell you. And so I just went into this meeting and with an open mind, and I met just the coolest, most passionate people for life, like people that wanted contribution, wanted impact, wanted to help people, wanted to create their own dream life. They were going somewhere. It was like a growth community. And I was just like, man, these are my people. And I had no idea what I was doing. Like we do it, everything in life. Like even when I started my own podcast, I still have no idea what I'm doing. Somehow I got into the top 100, right? And but I just failed forward. Like I failed forward. I kept my eyes on where I wanted to go. I listened to the right people because I don't take advice from broken, unhappy people because they're never going to give you anything remotely good to anything you should listen to.
Yeah.
And I kept failing forward. I was so shit at this when I started. I originally just got in just to make an extra couple $100 a week because I just needed that. Like, because I could never fathom having a life of where I could be my own boss, where I could not go to a job. I never believed that. I just thought, if I could make $200 a week extra on what I'm making, holy crap, that'd help me so much right now. And that's all I wanted. And then it started to happen. I started making 200 a week and 300 a week and 500 a week, 600. And it just kept growing. And then I understood residual income. I understood leveraged income and having money work for you. And, and then, 23 years old, I was making enough where I was financially free and I reevaluated my life. And I'm like, do I actually need to keep working? And the answer was no. And I'm like, well, what do I want to do? So I booked a one-way ticket to Mexico and I just moved to Mexico for like 4 or 5 months.
That's crazy.
I love Taco Tuesdays, so I want Taco Tuesdays every day, and
oh my God.
So that's what it was. And I was 23 and, then the last kind of 3 years of my life is just spent sort of traveling around the world and living in Bali and just going with the flow. And I just like to say yes in both. They're my 2 favorite words. So if you ask me to do something, I'm like, the answer is yes. And if there's 2 options, I said, let's just do both,
Yeah.
And I just love to be able to do that. So what I'm truly excited about now is being able to continually grow this income because it's only a direct reflection of how many other people I can help, and just help so many other young people attach themselves to a vehicle like this, do it the right way, and create something truly extraordinary for themselves. So
yeah. I love that. But I find it very interesting because you're like, eventually I had to wake up to myself but you were like only 19. Like
Yeah.
that's rare because most people live their life until they're like, what, 30 or early 30s? And then they realize, oh shit, I got to do something with my life. Yeah, you were 19, had, obviously gone through a lot, then tried to commit suicide and then realized that that wasn't your life. So to do that at such a young age, like how did that feel to be able to like know that your friends aren't the right friends for you and break away from that? Because you're not really self-aware at that age.
No, not really. Like so what it was, like we went away for work, so I wasn't actually around my friends. I was only around all my work environment. So we were away for work and it was just so shit. Like it was just so shit. So I would go away for I think about 3 weeks and I'd come back for the weekend. So I'd see my friends. And as an 18, 19-year-old, all you want to do is go out and party. Like you go clubbing with your friends. Like you look forward to the weekend. And that got taken away from me because I was like committed to, I want to become, I was pretty much told that if I don't go away, I wouldn't get trade qualified. So I had to do it, right? Well, I thought I had to do it. Then I thought that, you can put happiness aside in order to create this success. At that time, success was becoming a carpenter. So I was just with all my work friends and stuff. So it wasn't until like all that happened, then I realized I was like, no, the most important thing is just like do what makes you happy now. Like you can't chase income. You can't chase this other things. You need to just do what makes you happy now because like, and I talk about this all the time. I ask people when I do coaching and group courses and stuff, I'm like, what's success mean to you? And everyone's always said, oh, boats, travel, money. I'm like, well, what about like emotional success? What about like success in your relationships? What about success in your community? In your health? Like they say, a man who's got all the health in the world has 1,000 wishes, but the person who has no health only has one wish. So it's like what's really successful, right? And when you look at health, it's like physical health, emotional health, mental health, right? And so if you don't have that, you got nothing. So I looked at that and I was like, screw the apprenticeship. If I don't get my apprenticeship, screw it, because what's most important right now is just me being happy. And that's when I left that work environment, went back to my friends. But it took me a couple more years before I got into self-development and network marketing before I realized that I really need to start evaluating my friend group. And and like, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying for people to like, there's people in your life that you downright shouldn't be friends with. Right? But then you've got friends, and just because they don't choose to go on a journey of self-development with you, that's okay. It doesn't mean that you think like you're not better than them. You're not on a pedestal. But what I did, I just choose how much energy I put into that friendship. So I choose how much time we're around each other. It's like, do I want to, when they call me up on a Friday, hey, let's go out to this house party, do I want to do that, or do I want to stay home and like learn something online? Do I want to read, or do I want to work on my business, or so that's kind of the difference there. But like you're saying, not really having much awareness at that age, I definitely didn't, but I'm continually just checking in with myself. It's like, is what I'm doing right now feel good for me? Like, does this feel good? Does it feel right? And ultimately, is what I'm doing right now taking me closer to my end vision? Because that's the thing. It's like we've got like the next 3, 4, 5 years are coming regardless, and the things that we do right now are taking us closer to the ultimate vision we want, or it's taking us further away from it. And that's just how I make decisions. It's like, if I'm at a crossroad, does this feel good for me right now? And is this in alignment with my vision? Or is it going to take me further away from what I actually want to create in my life?
Yeah, I totally get that. And I did like how you said, it's just about making smarter decisions. Like you said, would I rather go out and party, or would I rather just stay at home and work on myself? It's like, maybe you might have a different vision to your friends at the time, but it's about, okay, so maybe we can go and do lunch or something like the next day, as opposed to like going out, writing yourself off, and then be wiped out for like 3-4 days.
Yeah.
And just knowing like, and it's weird because I totally get how you say like, it's just, where are you going to be? Like, is it going to get me to where I want to be? And I think truly it's about feeling that intuition, like, and you do feel it, like whether this is the right decision or like the wrong decision. And sometimes it's like, if it doesn't feel right, you just got to go in the opposite direction, even if it doesn't make sense.
Yeah, and you need to check in with your gut. Like, man, like ever since, and this is why health is so important. Like, like the healthier you are, like what you're putting into your gut, and what you're putting into your body, like you're gonna become, right? And our guts got like it's like our second brain. So
Yeah.
I'm continually like my intuition is so freaking high, and like if you're just silent and you just listen, like holy crap, like you get some pretty clear directions, right? Just from like gut feelings, and that's kind of like how I've always um, that's just how I have always just navigated my way through life, and yeah, and I don't listen to the opinions of other people, like unless
That's
they've got
huge. That's
unless they've
huge.
got everything I want in life,
Yeah.
you know, like so many people, I think the two things wrong, like the two main things wrong with humans is one, they just don't think, right? So number one, they don't think, and two, they listen to the wrong people, right? So one, they wake up every single day and they just let life happen to them. They wake up, whatever happens today, it's gonna happen. Whatever, right? And they're in a reactive state and they just adapt to what's happening in their life. Poor me, it's just the way it was. But here's the thing. And sometimes people even argue this fact with me, like with the law of attraction, law of intention, creating what you want. And like when I lived in Mexico, I already had that as a vivid thought in my head. Like I shit you not, the exact beach in Mexico. I've never even been to this town. Exact beach in Mexico, what it looked like, how it makes everything, the lifestyle. I had it in my head for about a year before it even happened. Then when I
Wow.
moved to this beach town, I got there and I couldn't believe it. I was like, this is everything I thought of. Like this street, like it's just crazy, right?
Yeah.
Because here's the thing. If you don't think, this is as simple as it is. It's like if me and you are sitting here right now and I go, we should get dinner. Actually, you're just down the road, So if I said to you, Jess, I go, hey, let's get pizza for dinner tonight, right? So I'm gonna actually consciously think, what do I want? What do I want tonight? I want to have pizza with Jess tonight. Now, what my day is gonna look like is, okay, my brain's now open to finding ways to make that possible. Am I going to go out to a restaurant? Are we going to book it in? Are we just going to go for a random walk and just feel the right one? Are we going to go and get ingredients and make it ourselves? Are we just going to get Domino's? What are we going to do? We're going to look for reasons, right? But the end result, we're going to have pizza some way, one way or another.
Yeah.
But if we're just sitting here right now and we just go, and we're just not even putting a thought at all for dinner, pizza, getting together at all, what's the chances of that happening? Freaking like
Zero.
nil. It's just
None.
not going to happen because if you're not consciously thinking about what you want, you're just letting like it's like getting into a car and just driving and having no idea where you're going. It's like it's not putting your GPS on at all. But everyone's driving a car with no GPS. Like they've got it sitting there right there, but they don't want to put anything into it.
I
But
love
the
that.
crazy thing in life, if you just put in where you want to go, you're gonna get there eventually.
Absolutely. I think at one time it was like, I was talking to someone. I'm like, oh, so what do you want to do with your life? Like, where do you like? What's your next year or two look like? And it was like, oh, I'm just plateauing through life. I'm just going with the flow. And I was like, what's going with the flow? I couldn't understand. I was like, aren't you intentional in where you want to go? Like, I know sometimes, when people used to ask me, like, what's your 5-year goal? I could never answer it. Because everything's always changing, but I always was intentional in terms of like where I wanted to be in a year at least, and have like some form of a plan of where I wanted to go. So that to me, like, never has sat well. I never really understood why people said that, like going with the flow.
Yeah, like I go with the flow of life.
Yeah.
Like I'm very and I think that's because otherwise if you're not, you're kind of rigid. So I think being adaptable to whatever happens is definitely a great kind of trait and a good mindset to have, especially through us Corona and stuff. It's like this is the longest I've been grounded. This is the longest I haven't been on a plane in nearly 4 years, and
Wow.
I'm kind of like twitch and be like, what's going on? But I've got a new mantra where I do what I love and I love what I do.
Yeah.
Right. And I love to be able to travel, but if I can't travel right now, what else? That's just the way it is. Go with the flow, adapt to it. But what we can choose is our attitude. Now, I think what you're saying is like people having no goals in life, going with the flow. Now that's nothing's wrong, but in my opinion, that's not a good way to live, right? Like
My opinion.
you can create whatever you want, man. So
Yeah.
so this is what I think: create what you want in your head, create your
Absolutely.
vision, create your vision. Be so relentless in pursuing it, but be so open-minded to how you're going to get there. So I always thought I knew I was going to be successful somewhere. I knew I was going to have this freedom and travel and do this stuff. I had no idea how. And really in my head, I'll tell you a funny story. I really thought I was going to do it through property, or I was going to own a brothel.
You're gonna own a brothel.
I kid you not, and this is why. This is why, because I met this guy at a bar one time, and he was about 50 years old, right? So still in my eyes, young to be retired, and he was playing golf on a Wednesday, and he came to the bar. He came to the bar and he ordered a drink, and I said, "Hey mate, if I buy you a drink, could you just tell me how the hell you and your mates are playing golf on a Wednesday?"
Yeah.
And and this is such a nice guy. He could have said to me, "No, like go away, like I'm whatever," right?
Yeah.
But he was like, "Sure." He's like, "I'll sit down." He sat down with me for about half an hour, and he pretty much just told me that he owns this business that works for him while he's not there. And I'm like, "Whoa, that's great." And he's like, "Yeah, I've set up this thing in place where, customers come through. It's open 24 hours, and wherever I'm playing golf or whatever, it's operating." I'm like, "Well, that's incredible. What is it?" He said, "It's a brothel." And I said,
Oh my gosh.
"Interesting." Okay. But business minded aside, it's like, he said to me, he's like, on a bad week, I still make 20 grand. I'm like,
Wow.
That's insane. So I asked him all the questions, what's involved, how to get started. And he said, you need to get about $200,000, to kind of start. So literally until I found network marketing, I was trying to save $200,000 because I was like, that's it. I need to find a business that's going to work for me. And that's what I thought it was going to be, but if I wasn't so going with the flow and open-minded to just attract other things to me, because here's the thing, you can always create your end destination, but you need to be careful what you wish for, because sometimes the route there isn't what you want, but it's what you need. So I attracted network marketing. I thought I was just doing it for a way to make some extra money to get to my end goal of 200 grand.
Yeah.
It somehow turned into, this is actually my vehicle. I started for a few $100s, eat my overhead. It's like way better than $200,000, right? But so another story of like the whole, I went away. I was on an island off of Bali somewhere, because I lived there for a while, and we're on this island, and we're staying at this resort, and I paid a lot of money to stay at the resort. It was about like $8,000-9,000 a night or something. $800 or $1,000 a night. It's about that, and it wasn't really like $1,000 a night standard. But I adapt, and I don't complain about things. I just whatever it is, it just is. I make no meaning of it, and I just enjoy it, right? But it was kind of crappy. So one thing happened in the resort where I just kind of mentioned, I forget what it was. I was like, "Oh, hey, by the way, this just happened in the room. Can we change rooms?" We changed rooms. Beautiful, happy days. And they felt really bad about it, and they came down to us, and they said, they're like, "Hey, you can come down and have a seafood dinner with us tonight for free on the house." And I was like, "Wow, thank you." And I said to my partner at the time, I'm like, how cool would it be? Because whatever they did in the room it was a pretty major screw up. Like, it was pretty major. And I'm like, how cool would it be? You know what? I'm gonna manifest getting this whole stay for free. I'm like, they're just gonna pay it all back to me. So be careful what you wish for. I manifested that, but you can never always. You can't control the journey.
Yeah.
But you can control the outcome.
Yeah.
We went to seafood dinner. Then that night, I got seafood poisoning from their dinner.
Oh no.
And I was in bed, and it was the sickest I've ever been. It was horrible.
Oh
But you know what happened? On checkout, they felt so bad, they gave us all the money back.
Wow.
So I said, I'm like, that's just the power. That's just the show that you can create whatever you want in your life.
Absolutely.
Right? With intention, but don't complain about the journey. Sometimes it's not going to be, you can't get fixated. So that's what you have to go with the flow with that. You have to be open to other things that just come, and not be so narrow-minded that this has to be the way, this has to be the way. There's even that story, like, I'm not a religious person, but there was some religious story where there's this guy, when the whole world's flooding, and he's standing on his roof, and he's about to die, and he goes, "God's going to save me. God's going to save me. Don't worry. God's going to save me." And this guy in a boat comes past. "Hey, mate, jump in the boat. Do you need a hand?" No. I'm okay. God's gonna save me. God's gonna save
Yeah.
me. Okay. And then another guy comes past in another boat. Dude, quickly jump on. You get to drown. No, it's okay. God's gonna
Hmm.
save me. God's gonna save me. Then another guy comes past in another boat. Dude, there's more room. Get on this boat. You're almost drowning. No, it's okay. God's gonna save me. And then eventually the guy drowns and he gets up to heaven. He goes, God, what the hell? Like, you were
Yeah.
gonna save me. And he goes, I sent you 3 boats. I sent you 3 boats, and you didn't want to get on one. So often people get fixated that it has to be this way. You can't
Yeah.
control the journey. You just have to embrace the journey. Like, it is a journey. It's a process, but you control your end destination. So that's the whole thing. People don't think. Think more. If they think more, they can create more they want. Think with intention. Think like intelligently of what you want to create. The second thing was they said that most people kind of get wrong in their life is taking advice from the wrong people. Like, holy crap.
Yeah.
That, like, I believe it doesn't take a genius to figure this out. If someone hasn't done the exact thing you want to do, don't take advice from them on that topic. Especially when it comes to business and making money. Like, when I started this business, holy crap, because, you know, some people do network marketing in a weird way, and you know, they put a bad taste in some people's mouth. So when I started this, I had people close to me say, oh, you can't do that, you're never going to succeed in that, only 1% of people succeed, blah blah blah, you're going to have no friends, and all this crap. And then I just looked at their life, and these 2 people in particular, one was like stereotypical as hell. He's literally living in his parents' basement, and this guy was in his 40s. I'm not
Oh my
kidding.
gosh.
And he's trying to tell me that I can't do this, and that's a bad business idea, and all this crap. And I just had to look at him real quick, and I was like, and I remember just saying, oh, you know, thanks for your opinion. And it just made sense straight away. I was like, why on earth would I listen to him when I've got other people in my life telling me, you know, you can do it, you should do it, you know,
How good's
like,
that?
and I think people let small-minded, uneducated people talk them out of really incredible things. And so I think if people just did those 2 things in life, I don't even sure how we got onto this subject, but if people just did these 2 things in life, they thought more intelligently of what they want to create,
Yeah.
and they just had faith that it's going to happen, and they started listening to the right people instead of the wrong people, far out, they're gonna have such a better life.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree. And what was the journey like? You've gone into this like network marketing world. You're young, you hit 21? 21?
When I started, you're 21.
Yeah, 21, and you've stepped into this whole big world of like entrepreneurs and like big time business owners, like big money. Like, what was that like for you to go into that? Like, were you excited? Were you nervous? Were you like, what the hell, is this my life? And then you started like, you know, what was that journey to like where you are now?
I think I got kind of, I think I was kind of lucky in my sense because, you know, in network marketing, it's a very unique kind of industry where, you know, it's not about like big, like why it's such a cool industry. It's because in the entrepreneur world, all the scary things of entrepreneurship, all the risk and everything is taken care of already by the company.
Yeah.
And we get to kind of come in and leverage that. So I kind of looked at it way more as inspiration. I came into this thing and I started meeting other young people that were having 6-figure incomes, 7-figure incomes, you know, traveling the world, having this ultimate life. And I looked at it for inspiration because, you know, you can always look at things and like in comparison, or you can look at things and get inspired by them. And I just always understood that. I'm like, you know, I think the one thing that kind of stops a lot of people from doing things is they're scared to be shit.
Yeah.
Like they're scared to be seen at the bottom. And everyone starts there. And I think that's honestly like people that have like an ego or whatever, or maybe it's just that fear of being like, well, if I start now, I'm going to be one of the worst. Like, yeah, like, you know, but what's going to happen in 5-10 years if you do nothing? You're going to be exactly where you are. Like, what's worse there?
Yeah.
You know, like, and I think people are just always looking in the instant world, want instant gratification and not looking long term. And that's definitely one of my skills, not skills. One of my, I don't know the word. I've always just looked long term. You know, so when I did my apprenticeship, there's a reason I go through all the early mornings, being at the bottom of the food chain, getting paid the least amount of money, working the hardest, because I knew that one day I would become qualified, I would have a good wage, and then I could be running my own thing. Like, people that go to university or they get a degree or whatever, same thing. They stay up all night studying. They do all the things that they don't want to do because they know that one day it's going to have a payoff.
Absolutely.
But when people start in their own business, the entrepreneur world, they think it's got to happen really fast because they've got to be on private jets already, and they've got to be doing all this crap already, and they're scared to be seen at the bottom. They're scared to be seen at starting because and when you do first start, that's like the what do birds eat out of?
Oh my gosh.
It's like a food tray. It's the first time I ever used this analogy. It might not even work. But it's like when you first start, like that's kind of like the pecking zone, right? It's like, people are gonna want to try and rip on you because this is your first step of breaking away from the norm.
Yeah.
Challenging everyone else's belief. You can't do that. You have to work until the day you die. It's what's that thing? Cognitive dissonance. You challenge a belief so much that you simply can't accept it.
Yeah.
And if you're going against people's beliefs, they're going to try and say and do whatever they can to try and get you back on board because you're not right and they're not right.
Yeah.
But in your own sense, you're both right to your own belief. So when you first get started, I think it's just you need to have thick skin kind of and know exactly where you're going and why you want to go there because there's going to be so many people that are going to want to throw their opinions. It's like, when you put on Facebook, I just got a job.
Yeah.
And it's like 500 likes.
Yeah.
And then you put another status. I just started my own business. 1 like from your mom. 10 comments saying, "Oh, be careful, be careful." It's like, "Oh, I just got $100,000 of college debt. Congratulations, little Sally. Well done. I've just invested $600 in my own business. Oh, be careful. Oh, I've heard about those things." Like what? Like so to kind of answer this question. I was in such an awesome community, and that's why I'm just passionate on this industry because people can come in and get immersed in this community of people that are just going to love on you, support you, and help you grow into the person you need to become. And it's kind of like that family to go to when people in the outside world are not seeing what you see and not agreeing with you, you've got that kind of community that are going to help pull you through. And that's exactly what happened for me. And I remember I had so many people hate on me. I had so many people tell me like, that I can't do this. And, and I sit here in my house here on the Gold Coast and I tell you, I'm having the last laugh now. I tell you that.
I love that. And it's so true. I think we're just programmed to believe one way and that's the only life. Like, even from myself, from personal experience, even when I left nursing, like, all the nurses are like, "Why would you do that? You've like done this for 7 years. Like, it's your career." Like, and they didn't get it. They're just like, why? You're just going to throw it away and go do what? And I almost felt like a little bit embarrassed to say that I was leaving. I'm like, to go and work in the health and fitness industry. I'm like, and they're like, "Well, but why? And there was only maybe 3 nurses that turned around and had said to me after working there for 40 years. And they're like, "I wish I did that at your age. Go." And I'm like, well, I didn't know what was out there and you just don't know. But I was like, here I am now, tripled my salary, if not more. And I'm just like, if I hadn't have taken that step, I'd probably still be nursing and probably miserable right now. But I was just going against what we're programmed to believe of, go to school, potentially go to uni, and then get a normal job, a career, professional career. And that's it. And it's just crazy. People have so many times people have said, even podcasting right now, people have said, "Why do you do it? It's a waste of time. You don't get paid to do it." I'm like, it doesn't matter.
It's not about money. That's the thing. You just said, and that's the thing. And also, I think if you want to get into entrepreneurship for money only, you're only going to get so far as well.
Yeah.
You get you started. Don't get me wrong. Get you started. Will get you going, but you'll eventually hit somewhere along the way and be like, "Is this all there is?" And you missed it. You missed the true thing. That's what I was going to ask you. You've tripled your income. Incredible.
Quadrupled, actually.
Quadrupled. I love that. Are you happier now than what you were doing when you were nursing?
I'm definitely happier. Don't get me wrong. The money's great. But I soon realized, because everything happened very, very fast, what I realized was that for so long, like I was working for a bigger income, working all these hours. And for years, I worked like 2 jobs and everything and been working like all these hours and for more money.
Yeah.
But then when the money's in your bank account, that's not even what makes you happy. Like, it's just like, yeah, it's there, but that's not like, and then I was just sitting there like, okay, what do I do now?
Yeah.
And I'm
Yeah,
like,
because
and it was weird. And now I'm just like, yeah, it brings, okay, like some financial relief for myself and for my family. There's like that sense of no stress, like gone. But it's like, if there's been so many times I can actually admit that I didn't enjoy the journey to get here.
yeah. Oh, in the party journey now. But that's what
Yeah.
it's all like.
And
It's
that's
ups and
what you're
downs. But
saying.
it's ups and downs though. And imagine if every single thing you want in life just happened as soon as you thought about it.
Yeah.
And like imagine how boring. Imagine how boring that would be.
I know.
Imagine if you thought, I want $1 million income, then it happens. I want a speaking gig, and it happens. I want the
Yeah.
best podcast in the world, then it happens. You're like, oh my god, this is so freaking boring. There's no
Yeah.
challenges. There's no, and that's honestly what it's like. It's like there has to be ups and there has to be downs. Because if there's no downs, you never get to appreciate the ups. And that's why I love this whole journey, because it's like new challenges. And, I'm about to launch something new as well that I've never done before. And I'm doing it because I'm just like, I haven't done this yet, but I have it in me. And I'm like, I'm gonna do it. And, and because I get hit up by a lot of people to kind of do some coaching and courses and things like this. And I just keep it so confined, and I just pour it all back into my team with my business. But this is the first time ever I'm going to kind of create something on the side, and who knows what's going to be like, but I'm not attached to the outcome. I'm just about the process. Like, if I make money from it, awesome. If I don't and it's a steaming pile of crap, awesome. I would have learned some incredible things along the way and had a lot of fun. And that's what it's just all about. I think this is the thing that scares me most, is getting to the end and then meeting the person that you could have become.
Yeah.
Like, it's the only fear I have in my whole life is getting to the end and meeting the person you could have become. And then they say that heaven is the thing, getting to the end and see the person that you could have become staring back at you.
Yeah.
And see how far you've come. And that is the thing that I just can't understand why does not everybody understand that? Like you said, you spoke to the people that are older than you. Like if you're listening to this and you still can't find that like motivation, go to a nursing home and interview 50 of them.
Yeah.
Go ask them a series of questions. What's your biggest regret? What do you think you did? What do you wish you did more of in your life? Ask things like this, and like I'm always so curious. I ask questions like this to people older than me, and that's why I just take their advice. And like you just said, I wish I had done that earlier.
Yeah.
Like
That's
take
what they all
their
say.
advice.
Absolutely.
Right?
I worked in nursing homes for 5 years. I'm always like, what's the secret to life? Like, tell me. I was like 19 and I'm just like, what's the secret? Like digging for looking. I'm just like, what's going to make me happy? What's going to make me happy? What's the secret?
Yeah.
They're like, just do what you want. If you feel it, like just go and do what you want. Like don't ever hold yourself back. Like if it doesn't make you happy, then don't do it. Because for so many years, like they were programmed to do things that was society told them to do. Mm-hmm. And they're programmed very differently to us.
Yeah, the boomer generation. Right?
Oh my God.
And so often though as well, like people, this is why I'm so passionate on self-development. Like my whole podcast is all on self-development because, the one thing I teach on a lot is your values. And you need to get really clear on your values for you. Yep. And this is what people screw up in life, right? We're being ran, because usually our values are created up until the age of 7. This is when we usually, so we're being ran by a 7-year-old.
Yeah.
Right? Which is really scary. So, but people do this. It's like, and people listening right now, do this with us. Think about growing up, who did you crave the most love from in life? Mum or dad? And who did you have to become? Who did you have to be to get that love?
Yeah. That's heavy.
Right? And so I'm talking to this friend the other day, and we're talking about her values, and she's like, I think these are my values. They have to be success and all this stuff. And I'm like, what do you mean they have to be? And I asked her questions. So she's an achiever. She's a high achiever.
Yeah.
And I asked her a question. I said, so whose love did you crave the most growing up? She goes, Dad's. I said, who did you have to be? She goes, I'm still not there.
Yep.
I said, well, I wonder why you're continually achieving, doing all this incredible stuff. You know, but you're still not happy. You're still not fulfilled, because that's how you're scoring success. Your highest value. You're scoring success based on his values of you, not your values of you. And you're never going to get there. You can become a billionaire and you'll still believe that's not good enough. So until you start to really figure out what your core values are, just getting clear on what they are for you, like what do you want most in life? And this is the whole process. It can't be done on this one conversation, but it's like finding out your core values, then what do you make them mean for you as well? So here's another thing. We have our values that we live by. Then we also have our I call them destructive values, the ones that we try to avoid most in our life. So when I first did this, you know, my top 2 values was success and fun.
Yeah.
Right? Because that's what I thought they had to be. And then my rules for creating success and fun. So what does success and fun mean to me? So how do I experience success? What are my rules to have success? Success means I have to be a millionaire in my 20s. I have to fly private. I have to go on different countries every single week. I have to be able to speak on stages to tens of thousands of people. And all these things, right? These are my rules. And then I ask myself, how many times in a day can I feel my top value? If they're my rules to feel that value, the answer is none. I can't ever feel that.
Yeah.
And then what is fun? What's my rules for fun? Fun means jumping out of a plane, scuba diving with sharks, doing crazy fun shit, rally car driving. Okay, cool. How many times can you do that in a day? Like, if you're lucky, like one time. And if you can do it today, can you do that again tomorrow? Unless you live in a wild life. Like, that's kind of tough. And then you look at the destructive values. So, you know, the top 2 or 3 values that you try the hardest in life to avoid. So mine was like anger, you know, like depression, and I can't remember. Let's just call those 2. What are the rules in life to feel angry? Oh, well, if someone cuts me off, if I sleep in, I'm angry. If I sleep past my alarm, if I don't get a chance to work out in the morning, if I do this, if I do that, if this happens, if this person says this, if this happens, if they didn't meet my expectations, that makes me angry. And the problem here is we've got like a nice, massive highway to feeling our really shit values and a really crappy dirt road up a mountain to get to our highest values. And people just don't stop and think about this. And what do I want for me? Instead of trying to be somebody that my parents want me to be, what do I want for me? What is the meaning of my life? Where do I want to go? Why am I doing my stuff? And then I recreated my values. Now my top value is love. Yeah. I lead with love with everything, and man, everything's just freaking great. Like, if it doesn't involve, yes, you know, I get hit up to many things in business. I've been asked to do lots of different things, but I just don't care. Like, money is not the highest value. Money's up there. Yeah. Like, it has to be up there. But it's not like if money is going to be at the sacrifice of doing something I love doing and I'm passionate about, I don't do it. Yeah. But now my rules for, say, success, how I feel success is do my gratitudes in the morning. Just wake up and smile. If I can smile the first thing I do when I wake up, that's success. If I can make someone else smile, if I can make someone else laugh, if I can, you know, if I work out today, if I eat something good for my body today, if I get to drive my car today, all these little tiny things, I recreate the rules. So now I'm continually living in my highest value because I've made the rules so freaking simple to get there. And I made the rules so hard to get to the hard ones. So angry, I don't get angry anymore. Like, it's freaking next to impossible because I just made a new rule up. And life's just all about making up our own rules. And if we don't like the game, you change the rules. Like, you change the rules accordingly to live the freaking good life. So, yeah.
I love that. No, I love that. I love that. And for anyone, I guess, that's listening to this at the moment, like what would be like your biggest piece of advice for someone that might be really trying to, I guess, get financial freedom or build like their business, but they're just caught in their own ways, or they've just got so many like negative Nancy's around them, or they're just hitting wall after wall. Like, what would be your biggest piece of advice to them?
So I had mentioned at the start the 4 pillars of success. Number 1 is environment. 2 is vehicle. So the right environment, the right vehicle, the right you, and the right time. You need to have these 4. So it starts with the first one, the right environment. If you're around these crappy people that make you feel crap, you need to change that environment. And sometimes you're in an environment where you can't change. Like maybe you're at work or your home life, and sometimes I get it. It's a little bit harder to just up and change. But what you can do, you can drown it out with a better environment. So when I used to drive to work every single day, I'd be listening to Les Brown, Jim Rohn, Tony Robbins. I'd be listening to all these people, podcasts and YouTubes and books and things like this. And then I would start to, get around people that I want to be around, like networking with people on Instagram, networking with people in real life, finding someone. So reach out to someone who has everything you want, ask them how they did it, and then do exactly as they say. People ask me sometimes, well, how do you get a mentor? Like I've been lucky to be mentored by lots of people kind of for free. Because I'm coachable. I don't know if I can swear. I'm coachable. Like I'm the most coachable person ever. If someone better than me tells me what to do, I do it. No questions asked. And I've been able to create amazing relationships, and I've had them all on my show, and it's just crazy, the relationships there. So the environment, right? You need to get around somebody, go find someone who has everything you want, ask them how they did it, and then do it. And ask them if you can work with them. Like just ask. If you never ask, the answer is always no.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? So I ask for everything I want in life. And what I say, it's the right environment, the right vehicle. So usually if you're around the right people, it's probably going to guide you to the right, if not the right vehicle, a better vehicle than what you got right now until you find the right one. And it's always changing. There's always different things, right? So, but you do need to find the right vehicle. Is your ladder against the right wall? Are you building a business to look good? Are you building a business for Instagram? Are you building a business because your parents think you create success in that? You make your parents happy of you, or are you doing something for you? So is your ladder against the right wall? And even sometimes in our industry with network marketing, there's so many different companies. It's like is your ladder against the right wall? Is the company you're building with right now right for you, your values, your future? And that's just, you need to evaluate that. And it kind of comes down to getting around the right people and getting some good advice. The third one is the right time. So is it the right time for you right now? So I tell you, when I first started at 21, it wasn't the right time. It wasn't not the right time. My first year was so shit. But then what happened was when I got really clear on my why, I always talk as the difference. You got a vision and you got a why. The vision is where you're going. Vision is what you want to create. Your why is why you need to go there. Right? So I thought, I want to live in Mexico. I want to have this freedom lifestyle. That's my why. That was my vision. My why actually stands for what hurts you. So you need to find the pain. So, and there's another story. I love my stories. So there's a story. There's this little boy walking down the road, and he sees this dog on a porch next to this old man. The dog is just howling and howling and howling and crying and crying and crying. And he goes up to the old man. He goes, "Mate, what's going on with your dog? Why is he crying?" And he goes, "Oh, he's sitting on a nail." And he goes, "Well, why doesn't he just get off?" He goes, "Because it doesn't hurt enough for him yet." And so often in life, people are living this 7 out of 10 life. That's what I call it, 7 out of 10 life, where it's not extraordinary, but it's not really shit. They're sitting in this just area of just nothingness, where it's like it's, doing enough where it's hurting, but it's not hurting enough to really get off the nail yet. And that's what you need to ask yourself the question: if not now, then when? And if not this, then what? If this isn't the right vehicle, then what is the right vehicle? Go and find the next one. Then if not now, then when? What are you waiting for? Right? How much longer are you going to sit on this nail for? And what's going to happen? Is the nail going to get worse in 3-4 years? Is it going to get worse? What's going to happen there? Like, paint yourself. So often people think of this law of attraction as amazing vision. But if you're going to be, if you're going to be bold enough to create an incredible vision for your life, then you better be brave enough to create a really shitty vision for what's going to happen if you don't get off your ass and do something. And people bury their heads in the sand, just think it's all rainbows and it's going to be great. And they don't want to get clear on, well, if I do nothing, what's my life going to look like? When you get to a level of disgusted, that's when you kind of yourself, now's the right time. Right? So we choose that. When's the right time? Now. And then last one is the right you. So you're always just working on the right you. So that's why, you've got to be your highest, like you are your highest asset. Right? So you got to invest in you over and over and over, which is why I always bring everything back to health. If you get like, well, where should I invest first? Invest in your health first. Get it just at an optimal level, so your vessel is just clear, focused, you're fit, you got vitality, you have energy, you're sleeping better, you're not stressed, you're feeling good, and everything's going to start to shift for you. And then start to invest in education, books, seminars, coaches. Like hire someone to work with you and kick you up the ass, and so they can shortcut your journey.
Absolutely.
Right? Like that's what I've done. I just work with people who are the best in their industry, and I pay them.
Yeah.
And I say, help me,
Yeah.
and that's kind of why I fast tracked it.
Yeah.
So those 4 things, you need to kind of really start with the environment. There's no point, deciding if now's the right time if you're still in a crappy environment.
Yeah. So true.
There's no point trying to go, this is the right vehicle for me if you're still around those people that are going to distract you and pull you out. Shift up your environment first. And that's going to have a ripple effect on everything else.
Yeah. Yeah. So good. So good. So what is the big plan for you now?
Big plan for me now.
Yeah.
Well, ultimately, I want to create a education platform for young people, teaching self-development and everything, because, my ultimate goal is still really hustling and building my network marketing organization, because I think there's no other better income stream than residual income. And, I get to help so many people there. So I'm really, really focused on, I take a lot of my coaching and training and stuff, and I pour it straight into my team. Yeah. And, we're just focused on, our team is called Dream Out Loud, and we're all about just growth, impact, and success. So all about just helping a lot of people there. And then, I'm wanting to then use that income and that freedom, that flexibility to fund a lot of other things, where I want to do a lot more speaking and stuff around the world to just young people. I really want to be able to tap into schools and stuff and start teaching this kind of stuff to people, before they go into the life and think, am I not good enough? And all this stuff, right? And start questioning. And just imagine, if you want to talk about changing a generation, changing the world, it's imagine if there's just more young people learning self-development, learning more about self-validation, self-love. Imagine how many less suicides there'd be, how many less domestic violence relationships there'd be, how many less robberies, murders, violence just out in the world. Imagine how many less of that crap would be when people just figure out their own emotions and stuff. So my whole kind of goal there is just, teach this stuff to young people all across the world.
Yeah, I love that. And I totally agree. I feel like there's definitely more that we can do for the younger generation to lead them in the right direction. That's for sure. Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Morgan. That was amazing. Absolutely loved all of it. Now, if anyone wants to find you, creep you, stalk you, whatever they want to do, get in touch with you, where can they find you?
Slide in my DMs, baby. Instagram is probably the best. Just Morgan T. Nelson. And then my podcast is Dreaming Out Loud. You'll find that on any platform, iTunes, Spotify, whatever other ones are out there. I don't know what other ones are out there. You should be able to find all of them. But yeah, that's definitely the most, my Instagram and the Dream Out Loud podcast. And just, go along on my Instagram, send me a message. I've got some highlights and stuff there of just some things to kind of explain what we do and what I'm all about and why I do what I do. But send me a message. I reply to everybody. Sometimes people message me and they're like I get in contact with them and they're like, oh, I never thought you'd message back. I'm like, what are you talking about? I reply to everybody. I might reply 2 days later, but I reply to everybody. I love to talk to people, especially all about this and just where you're at in life and, what you took away from this podcast or anything, man. So, I'll see you there.
Love it. And I will put Morgan's details and all his links in the show notes. So if you want to go and check him out, go and check him out. If you want to chat to him, have a chat to him about network marketing, what he does, then go and have a chat to him over in the DMs. Other than that, Morgan, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. It was such a pleasure to have a chat with you again.
Mate, so happy to be here. And thank you, Jessica. I absolutely love you and I love what you're doing here. So go and crush it. Thank you.
Thanks so much.